Hello, Self-Love Life 101ers. Welcome back to my channel. It is so good to be back with all of you. Today's episode is about forgiveness of the self. Quite often when we think about or conceive of forgiveness, we often think about forgiveness towards someone else who has hurt us, someone else who has done something wrong to us. But how often do we forgive ourselves for the things that we go through, for the suffering that we actively put ourselves through? So first, I want to start by talking about what self-love is again. Self-love is radically accepting yourself for who you are, for exactly who you are. That means accepting your flaws. That means accepting your strengths. That means accepting your highs and lows, the roller coaster of emotions that you may experience based on life's challenges. We have to be willing to forgive ourselves. If we can't forgive ourselves, it will be impossible for us to forgive other people, thus leading to a life of pain and suffering and an endless roller coaster of emotions. So I want you guys to right now visualize something in your lives that make you feel loved. Anything. Take a moment. So I'll share. So I feel most loved through affection. Either it's affection from my children, affection from the people that I love. I love affection. I also love words of affirmation because they just make me feel good. And so what happens though is when I don't receive as much affection as I would like, or when I don't receive as much words of affirmation I would like, I tend to get into a very anxious state, a very depressed state, because I'm leaning on these things to uplift me, to make me feel better. But true self-love means that we can find ways to validate ourselves, that we can give ourselves words of affirmation, right? We can give ourselves a certain level of affection, right? Obviously, you can hug yourself, but that may look different. Maybe it's getting a pedicure, maybe it's getting a manicure, maybe it's taking a bath, maybe it's reading a book, but finding activities that contribute to the continuous development and the continuous sustainability of our self-love is critical. So the next piece is, what is forgiveness? And what does forgiveness look like? Forgiveness is truly acknowledging something, anything that has happened to you, acknowledging it fully for what it is. Okay, so if somebody stole something from you, for example, and they did not return it to you, and you're holding on to this pain, in order for you to forgive that person, you have to forgive yourself. Typically, most human beings tend to blame themselves for bad things that have been done to them for some reason. So, for example, if someone stole from you, then you feel like, well, why did I trust this person, right? If someone is not a good friend to you, okay, then why did I become friends with this person? Instead of really saying, you know what, I made that choice and it's okay. I made that choice at that time, and at that time, it felt like the right thing to do. It didn't work out well, but it's okay, and I'm not holding unnecessary resentment towards this other person, or I'm not holding any anger towards myself. So once we are able to be compassionate with ourselves about the choices we have made that has led to some kind of pain and suffering, it is only at that moment that we will be able to forgive others. So forgiveness is something that is tricky because depending on the situation, you may not be in a space mentally, emotionally, or even physically to let go of something or someone that has hurt you deeply. However, you have to be able to forgive and move on, and you also have to decipher what the moving on is going to look like for you. If the moving on is going to lead to a deeper love of yourself and a deeper life of peace and growth, then it's important for you to forgive and let go. If the forgiveness can actually transform the situation or the relationship, then you still need to let go, right? And so then moving on would look a little bit differently for you. But the fact of the matter is, you have to be able to determine what that looks like. One of the most powerful things I've learned about self-love is that it is a continuous journey. It's never perfect. So there isn't this one person that's just waking up every day thinking that they have no flaws, no matter how much money they have, no matter their race, class, or gender. Everyone is kind of on this journey in their own distinct way. And that's what makes self-love so universal, is that we're all grasping for something. But what I want for you, through the consultations I do, through the different emails, consultations that I send out and share with some of my clients, what I want for you is a constant peace. And in order to achieve constant peace, it requires a constant understanding of exactly who you are. So I want to share a resource with you. I've been reading this book by Tara Brach. It's called Radical Acceptance. Okay, embracing your life with the heart of a Buddha. Now, I wouldn't call myself a Buddhist, but I do really enjoy learning about Buddhist principles because it really helps me make more informed decisions about my own life. It also helps me help my clients. So I listen to Tara Brach's podcast. She's a psychotherapist. She's also a practicing Buddhist. And she talks a lot about this idea of having compassion for ourselves, in addition to having compassion for the decisions of others that may have hurt us. Having that compassion doesn't mean we absolve the other person of hurting us. And having compassion for ourselves doesn't mean that we can just go crazy and say, well, I have compassion for myself. I robbed a bank, but I have compassion for myself. I had a reason. No, that's not it. But it's really having compassion for yourself so that you can make better choices. Having compassion for someone or something that hurt you so that you can make a more informed choice about how you want to move on and proceed. And these things are all really complicated. However, it's important that we figure out what moves us. Okay. So I want to read an excerpt for you guys. This is from Radical Acceptance, Chapter 2, which is titled Awakening from the Trance. And basically, awakening from the trance means that we are seeing our lives exactly for what it is, as opposed to what we wish our lives could be. So when we awaken from that trance, we attend to the bandaged place. So the bandaged place is the wound, whatever is hurting us from our childhoods, from our life experiences. Embracing the pain that we run from allows us to trust ourselves and our lives. So if you're running from something, if you're repressing some kind of emotion, it is only going to resurface, right? When we run from our emotions, it will resurface in one way or another. So we have to address our emotions head on, spot on, and say, this is what it is, and I have to fix it. Are you willing to go there? Are you willing to do that? Right? That's what I want you to think about. Self-love requires forgiveness. Forgiveness requires letting go. Okay? Until next time, bye guys.